Welcome to Backyard Cigars. Today we have a cigar by none other than La Flor Dominicana, Litto Diez Small Batch. This cigar has been resting in my humidor since December of 2019. And it has been at an RH level of 65 to 66. So since December, we're talking a few months in the humidor, resting at that RH. This is the first release of the Litto Gomez small batch since 2015. So nearly 5 years before the cigar was released, since it's last released. I think that this would make the 7th release of the small batch series, but due to some FDA regulations, they're not numbering their releases any longer. Nonetheless, this baby measures in at 6.5 by 52. The wrapper is the also very famous Pelo de Oro wrapper. Wrapper once known in Cuba and eliminated by mold and very hard to grow. Filler and binder from the Dominican Republic, making this baby a Dominican Puro. So, let me just go into it just a little bit. I've already been smoking it and I'm about an inch in. Right now it's still very medium bodied, though it is billed as a full bodied smoke. It's very smooth. It's got a bit of pepper up front, coming in with some spices and cedar, and just a tad bit of sweetness. That's what I'm getting at this very beginning. Along with that hint of sweetness, I'm also getting a very robust, earthy tobacco flavor. Now, this cigar is from the 2012 vintage crop from La Canela. And just to tell you a little bit more about it, I will tell you that the concept of the small batch kind of compares to the concept of single barrel whiskey. So these cigars are made entirely from one harvest, one crop's harvest. Wrapper, binder, filler, all from one crop's harvest. In particular, the 2000 and specifically the 2012 was used for these cigars. And that's the idea behind it. They wanted to do something different. Litto Gomez prides himself on doing things a little differently. We've all seen and heard and read about the different vitola shapes that he molds his cigar in, from the Andalusian Bull to the Chisel, and how he tries to think outside of the box. I'm going to smoke a little bit more of this, and then I'm going to come back with a little bit more background history. So the cigar is named after the founder and owner of the company, Litto Gomez. Who is Litto Gomez? Well, Litto Gomez is a Spaniard raised in Uruguay, and then he spent some time in Canada. Then he got out of Canada, spent some time in Miami, where he has more or less settled, and then he spends a lot of time in the Dominican Republic with his farm. Litto Gomez is a success story like many that we've read and heard about in the cigar industry and in other industries. Literally rags to riches. The work ethic is what he puts most interest in. When he first started making cigars, before the famous La Flor Dominicana name really blossomed, he was making more traditional type Dominican cigars that were milder and blander. And he said he was okay with that. Originally he was. And then he started thinking to himself, well, look, I've got to do something different. I've got to be different. I've got to think differently. As he has said in his own words, it was a lot easier for him to do that because he was not brought up in the cigar industry. So one other person that we can think of that very similar is the owner and founder of Warp Cigars. And I think this is what allowed him to think outside the box, is that he wasn't tied down to the traditions of the cigar industry. And he has verified that himself. Like Kyle, he set out a path where he was going to learn all that he could about cigars, traveling to Cuba, to Nicaragua, listening to anyone that would educate him on the finer points of cigar making. And he realized the mistakes that he was making with the early cigars that he was putting out. In the Dominican Republic, La Canela, the farm that is so famous for producing great quality tobacco, allowed him to really branch out and explore the different strains and the different types of tobacco that he could use to blend. Pelo de Oro being one of them. It's a small crop yield and even harder to make enough of it for wrappers, right? So here we have a situation where you're taking all of the crop of one vintage and you're using it to make your cigars. I believe about 20,000 cigars or so. Sweetness followed with earthy tobacco and hints of cedar is what I'm getting right now. So Litto Gomez also remembers the fact that he started out doing anything he could to make money when he got to Miami, and he worked hard at laying down a foundation because he didn't know anything about cigars other than smoking them. He enjoyed smoking them. His father enjoyed smoking them, but he didn't know how to make them. He didn't know anything about growing them. And now he sits atop of this beautiful company by the name of La Flor Dominicana, which was once originally known as Los Libertadores, the Liberators. And then they changed the name once they cut ties with a former business partner. But another thing that I want to add is that one of the reasons La Flor Dominicana has done so well is not just because of Litto Gomez. This cigar, as Litto himself has said, is not just about himself. It may be named after him, but so much credit and so much is due to the hard work of his wife, Inez. She provided so much support, worked so hard alongside Litto to make sure that La Flor Dominicana succeeded. Now they say there's an old saying, behind every great man there's a great woman. Well, Ines is not behind Litto. She stands beside him. And together they have made this company what it is today. The quality of the cigars, the attention to detail, every little thing that Litto has done, he has not done alone. Obviously, the workers, that his employees that work for him love working for him. They know that he's a tough boss, but a fair boss. But more than anything else, it has been the combination of husband and wife that have been able to come together and build such a strong company and produce such good tobacco. Great smoke output, very easy draw, actually a perfect draw. When you pull on it, it's just enough. The aroma is very good. And there's this caramel sweetness, almost like a caramel popcorn sweetness that lingers in the finish, along with the earthy tobacco that comes forward with cedar hints. It's this balance of give and take between these three flavors that I'm getting that is really making me enjoy this cigar a whole lot. Now, I smoked this cigar before, and I smoked it too early, I believe, because I probably waited 2 weeks, maybe a month in the humidor. But they arrived, and when they arrived from my online purchase, they were over humidified. And I thought a month in the humidor would cure that. Well, it really didn't. When I smoked it, I thought it was plugged, but it really wasn't plugged because I poked it and that did no good. The draw was super tight. The flavors were all muted, and I knew right away that I hadn't given it enough time in the humidor. So I said to myself, I got a glimpse of the promise of the cigar at certain points, but I knew that that wasn't really what the cigar was about. So I decided to give it several more months, or an extra months, in the humidor before even doing another review on this again. And I am very glad I did that. As the summer comes to an end and fall comes in, I come to realize that pretty soon some of the more special cigars will have to wait until next year for me to smoke them, because, well, lower temperatures, I tend to not really try to attempt to smoke a really special cigar in low temperatures. So the summertime and even the fall time is the time that I have to really enjoy more of the special cigars that I have in my humidor. And knowing that, I said to myself, I have to really go at it before the winter arrives and smoke as many of the good ones that I have, or the ones that I think are going to be good, while I have the chance. This is how you do a special cigar. This is how you do it. Okay, so I'm going to take a little more time with it, and I'll be back with the Litto Gomez small batch. So, you didn't see this, but in my last puff, I got a little bit of that marshmallow sweetness, along with a dusting of cocoa. And It seems to be transitioning. I still get bits of pepper here and there, but this is really interesting. It's a very interesting cigar. It just when you think you got it figured out and you know what it's gonna be like, it turns a corner and it surprises you with another layer of complexity. The size is great. Toro size, 6.5 by 52. It's actually the perfect size for today because it's a beautiful day out here today. It's 76 degrees, slightly breezy, very low humidity, and these are the final days of summer. We have to enjoy them. We have to enjoy them to the fullest. It's a very chewy smoke. You really do feel like you can chew on this smoke. The burn line's been pretty good. Right about now, it looks a little off, but for the most part, it has been behaving quite well. And I do figure that it will correct itself within the next few minutes. If I have to touch it up, I won't think twice about it, and I really won't be irritated by that at all. Why? Because it's just splendid so far. It just goes to show how sometimes we make mistakes, right? In smoking a cigar too early, not having it at the right humidity. Because my first experience with this cigar was such a letdown that I was actually concerned that I had made a bad investment on a lot of. I bought 6 of these cigars, and I thought to myself, man, if they're all like this, I made a really bad choice. And I can't believe it because this is such a highly anticipated cigar release and such a famous cigar and another bit of a unicorn. But in the back of my mind, I said, I know that this has to be that I smoked it too early. I felt how overhumidified they were when I first got them. It was my rush to smoke it too soon that caused me to have that experience. So I'm glad that I knew enough to give it more time, give it the proper amount of time. And this cigar was very oily when I got it. Very, very oily. Colorado colored wrapper. And it just highlights, for me, all of the wonderful things that the Dominican Republic has to offer in terms of tobacco. When done right, of course. Burn line is attempting to correct itself, so that is a good sign. A hint of coffee with earthy tobacco and sweetness in the finish. The aroma is picking up as I take a puff and exhale. I feel that aroma picking up in terms of just how well this cigar smells. It really, really does smell really good. I'm gonna take some more time with it and I'll be right back. Okay, folks, I just want you to look at this cigar a little bit closer. See, it's got very small veins, can see the wrapper there, the gold red and the black. Very regal. Give it a flat cut. I did need to give it a light touch up just for the burn line to improve a little, but not a big deal. This is a beautiful looking cigar. And I mentioned before how the smoke output and the aroma was just starting to pick up, and it really has. It's got that sweet, earthy, rich tobacco aroma that one can associate with not only Nicaragua, but with the Dominican Republic. Now I'm getting a little chocolate. That's what I'm getting right now in that puff. Little chocolate and a little hint of sweetness with that chocolate. So sweet chocolate. I wish this could go on for as long as there is daylight, because it's been that type of experience. I've always figured that whenever I do a review, or for that matter, whenever I smoke a cigar, that it's a journey. It's a journey that I begin, and it's a journey that I have set out a path, and I take this journey, and I don't know where it's going to take me. I follow the path and the experience, because every cigar is going to provide a different experience, right? More or less. Some cigars are going to give you a similar experience to other cigars that you smoke, but they're all distinct, right? And especially if they're from different makers. So I feel that I embark on a journey every time I smoke a cigar. And when I share that journey with you in a review, I want you to know what I'm going through, the motions that I'm going through. So the preparation for my journey is how the cigar was kept, what I did, and so forth. And then once I've cut it and lit it, off I go. Where it's going to take me, I don't know. Right now, this is taking me down memory lane once again, to a time when I have no cares, no worries, no concerns, just the enjoyment of fine tobacco and the enjoyment of peaceful tranquility, for the most part, surrounded by a little bit of nature, and really taking in the beauty of life. Beauty of life and the beauty of the leaf. For the most part, I can remember every cigar I've ever smoked. For the most part. Good or bad. And when I can go back in my memory and remember a fine cigar and relive that experience, even if that journey is slightly different, I'm a happy man for that. Sweet tobacco. I'll be right back. I'm gonna smoke a little bit more. This is obviously a slightly longer review than I would normally do, but I feel that it warrants it. Everything that's going into this cigar, the complexity, just my personal experience that I'm having at this moment with this cigar warrants it. And I want to share my journey with you. So I'll be right back. Okay, so as I head into the final third, I'm just going to summarize what my journey has been like. Spent several months in the humidor, 65, 66 RH, and This cigar started off medium bodied, very smooth, with crackling pops of pepper, an earthy and rich and chewy tobacco, followed by hints of cedar. Then we got transitions into hints of coffee and caramel sweetness in the finish, along with an even more rich, earthy tobacco note. As I kept smoking it, I got marshmallow sweetness, chocolate sweetness, light traces of pepper and spice, and that earthy tobacco note that pushed the envelope. It really did. And it just has come together so well. Nothing has been overly dominant. Everything has had its turn. Every flavor has just played together so well with each other. So these flavors have played very well with each other, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm really just, wow, I'm taken aback at, my last video was the expectations of a special cigar. And I had high expectations for this cigar the second time around, because the first time around, I rushed it. This time, with a bit of patience, I'm being rewarded. This journey that I've gone down with this cigar so far has been incredible. I am relishing every puff. An aromatic smoke that only picked up as I continued to smoke the cigar. A chewy smoke at that. A lingering sweetness that has really, from the second, third, and on, just has really continued. And I'm just really pleased. My expectations have been met. And I am a happy man. I can't tell you how happy I am. I'm going to include any notes for any possible transitions in this final third and into the nub state. And I'm going to share that with you in the notes. But I want to thank all of you for watching. All of you subscribers that have taken the time to watch this video, that have taken the time to partake in this journey with me in this very special cigar, the Litto Gomez Diez small batch. 6.5 by 52, pelo de oro wrapper, binder and filler from Nicaragua, La Canela, La Flor Dominicana, Litto Gomez and Inés Gomez. The two people behind a really wonderful cigar. Thank you folks for watching, and I will see you next time. Till then, cheers.